New home portals, Olo buys Omnivore, and the Toast CEO says restaurants can do more with less. That's all ahead on this week's Monday Minute. Monday Minute works like this. We're going to ask each other 5 questions about 5 key headlines. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, Meredith, you've got the first question this week. Olo has been in the news with their Q4 results, but also they've purchased Omnivore and they've released something called Olo Pay. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, I thought this was super exciting news. I've been waiting for a long time to someone create a platform in the restaurant industry that puts all the technology in one place. I know you refer to it as like having an app store. And I think that that's what Olo is doing. They're creating this platform that makes it easy for restaurants to get all the technology they need in one place, to have everything easily integrate. And adding Omnivore to their lineup brings in a whole bunch of additional pieces of technology that can be in that quote unquote app store, but also increases the ease with which things can be connected to one another. So that's good. And then, much like Apple, once you have the App Store, why not have Olo Pay as well? So they've now reached a point in their life cycle. The Q4 results also included a lot of good news about performance. They've reached a point in their life cycle where they're large enough, they believe, to have one integrated payment processing system so a consumer could pay with their Olo Pay at any participating restaurant in their network. Right now, that's about 79,000. They'll probably need to get it up a little bit more, but I think they have a long runway ahead of them with these kind of moves that they're making. So very exciting to see. Now for you, Carl, menu innovation is starting to come from influencers. Do restaurants even need a culinary team anymore?
Yeah, it's a great question because we've been talking about the likes of TikTok Kitchen for a number of weeks, and we spoke about the ways in which other companies are starting to use TikTok as a way of being able to hear from influencers with regards to what should go on the menu. And the latest that we've heard about is Denny's, and they've been collaborating with TikTok creators to create 24 menu items. And some of the influencers out there are called Get That Cookie Dough Pancakes with Jenny Solares. We've got the Enki Boys, the Jala Back Burger with Jonathan Chavez. Really interesting guys. When you follow them on Instagram, you'll see that they clearly know their stuff. They clearly are interested in food. And the great thing about this for me is that they're tying together these influencers that clearly have an audience to brands that we know and love, like Denny's, with their 1,600 units across the country. And so I'm not sure I would go to the extremes of being able to say we're not going to need the culinary teams within the head offices of Denny's and the equivalent anymore, because these ideas still need to be thought through. There's a lot of work that happens to be able to find the right levels of ingredients, to think about how to package those up and get them out across a network the size of Denny's. But certainly some of the ideas that are coming from the likes of TikTok and other platforms are certainly worth watching. And it's great to be able to see a company like Denny's be so front-ended with this and be able to actually say, listen, we're going to listen to you and we're going to take your ideas into account and then we're going to put them out there. So it'll be great to see how successful they are. Okay, our third question, Meredith, is about black box intelligence. We often look to these guys for some great insights, and they've told us a bit about January in relation to the traffic slowing down of people ordering. And so I guess my question here is, do we think January might be a precursor to what's yet to come in 2022?
Well, there's a lot going on in January, so it's hard to say. And certainly we were all thrown back into the pandemic with the Omicron variant. But I think that BlackBox is right in their interpretation that there is a point at which prices get so high that consumers start to change their behavior. We have had a ton of inflationary pressure. Restaurants have been dealing with rising commodity costs. They've been passing through those price increases to consumers. And for a long time, several months, it really looked like consumers were willing to accept those price increases as a matter of course. But we are starting to reach a point of resistance among consumers, telling us that prices probably can't go up forever. There's certainly a limit in terms of how much of a consumer's disposable income they want to or can spend on restaurants. So if we see those prices increase faster than, say, what wages are doing, there probably will be some pushback and certainly some transaction fall off in the restaurant industry. Now, that's Not healthy, of course, because while price increases fall straight to the bottom line and feel really good for restaurants, the true way to grow a healthy restaurant is to have more people coming in the door. All right, Carl, another futury one for you. You always get these futury ones. The next gadget for your home could be in the walls by your front door. HighFresh's portal is trying to achieve something here like delivery lockers. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so there's this guy called Jeremy High who is a home builder, or at least that's his background, and he's based in California. And he had a whole bunch of multimillionaires that he built homes for say, "Look, can you make this whole experience of receiving food and packages a little easier for us?" And recently we spoke about the idea of having an advanced kind of mailbox. But as a Brit, one of the things that has always confused me, Meredith, is the fact that I have to walk outside my door to a mailbox to collect my mail every day. And in England, we have these lovely little letter boxes where the mail is put through. It's incredibly inefficient for the Royal Mail, and so you can understand why the USPS do what they do. But it seems like, from what Jeremy High is doing with his company Fresh Portal, is building a unit which connects the outside to the inside with these temperature controlled units, both hot and cold temperature controlled units. So that way your dinner can pass through without you ever having to speak to the delivery driver. I think that's really smart. In fact, I could see it being something which could ultimately connect with delivery drone vehicles, right? Because that is something we've spoken about in the past, this last 10 feet challenge. At the moment, clearly very expensive. He thinks the prototype would cost around $3,500. But as someone who's bought a new home in the past, I can tell you it's a lot of fun to be able to choose all the different upgrades. You know, you look at the new homes these days, it's about Ring doorbells and smart thermostats. Perhaps in the future, not so long from now, we'll be able to say, yeah, let's have one of these fresh portals and food in to our doors alongside perhaps Amazon packages too. Okay, our last question this week, Meredith, is actually in relation to a Yahoo Finance interview that was done with Chris Comparato from Toast, the CEO of Toast. And he was talking about restaurants doing more with less. And he also said something about restaurants can do a better job with driving revenue. Tell us a little bit about what you think of that and what he perhaps is getting at.
Well, it's a very interesting article, and I think it's true for the entire restaurant industry. After what it has been through in the last 2 years, the industry has really learned two lessons from the pandemic. The first is that there's a bunch of omni-channel revenue opportunity out there if you can figure out how to assort your business to go after it technologically. And the other is as you go through a labor shortage, you figure out how to get more out of your people. And when you combine those two ideas, you're going to get greater productivity out of your restaurant workers, higher revenue, fewer workers, more revenue per worker, which is exactly what he's saying they're seeing across the Toast platform. I think this is great news for the health of the restaurant industry as it goes forward, because although the last 2 years were tough, the lessons learned during those last 2 years set the industry up well going forward.
Great stuff. Well, as always, it's great to be able to get your thoughts about the articles we've chosen for the Monday Minute this week. Clearly, there's a lot of news out there, but we'd love to know what you think about these items. Have you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? And as ever, let us know what topics you'd like us to highlight in a future edition. But for now, thanks again for listening, and we look forward to speaking to you again in a couple of weeks. The Monday Minute is available for you to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on all our social media Learn.Delivery channels. Thanks for listening.